Hi, I'm Tatiana Mezitis, and I'm here to talk about internet addiction, the plague of the 21st century. I still remember my first phone. It was a Nokia flip phone, and despite its limitations, I was still captivated by how easily I could send messages and call my friends. The concept was revolutionary. Anyone with a phone could enter the lives of friends, family, and even celebrities, thus bridging any distance that existed before. As phones kept updating, however, I began to notice the increasing amounts of time that I would spend online. I would check my phone hundreds of times per day, just like my friends and peers did. People on the subway no longer read books or nod off during their morning commutes. Every head is tilted down to look at a phone screen. On the street, people walk while checking their devices. At school, students zone out of lectures because they are playing on their phones. But how can we categorize something as mundane as cell phone usage under the same umbrella as life-altering addictions like alcoholism or gambling? Internet addiction is characterized by unhealthy amounts of daily screen time, a dependence on your phone, an urge to check your notifications, and a sense of FOMO when your phone is off. It seems an unlikely and illegitimate condition though, right? Everyone uses their phones obsessively, some people more than others. Using cell phones is the one thing almost all of us have in common, so why label it as an addiction? There are, however, complex neurological reasons for our growing dependence on phones. This is very real, very easy to develop, and very hard to overcome. Dr. Ivan Goldberg first cited the term internet addiction. He catalyzed research which uncovered the reality of this issue. Venkat Srinivasan from the Scientific American distinguishes addiction and compulsive dependency on something. Over 400 years ago, quote, to be addicted was to simply have a strong inclination toward substances or behaviors. But over time, addiction started to mean inclinations that were less about choice and more about lack of control. It is important to understand, therefore, that addiction is no longer as black and white as alcoholism or drug abuse. In an era where nearly everyone has a phone, the true meaning of addiction has fallen into a gray area. So let's take a look at the major culprit, social media platforms. Instagram and Snapchat are currently the most popular social media outlets. Instagram, developed in 2010, is a photo-sharing app with over 1 billion users. According to influencer marketing, the majority of users are adolescents, with 34% being between the ages of 13 and 17. Snapchat, a similar app from 2011, has over 186 users. Over 90% of UK social network users aged between 13 and 18 use Snapchat, making it the most used social platform among British teens, and these figures can be applied to American youth as well. But is social media really as harmless as we think? We all use Instagram and Snapchat. It's the universal method of communication for this generation. So what gives me the right to label our mundane habits as an addiction? Let's take a look at these sites through a different lens. While they appear to be innocent photo-sharing opportunities, they create a false world filled with edited realities. And they walk a fine line between fostering healthy viewing habits or obsessive behavior. When apps with such heavy influence and risky potential are placed in the hands of susceptible adolescents, they can cause serious damage. So before we go any further, let's break down what addiction actually is. It is defined as a state of compulsive dependence on a substance or activity to the extent that this consumes your life and grows harmful to your well-being or psyche. But what does this mean in scientific terms? Our brains are wired to be susceptible to addiction due to dopamines, the pleasure-inducing chemicals at the root of addiction. They are neurotransmitted in response to positive mood spikes, and you begin to associate a cue with a reward because, according to researcher Bethany Brookshire, dopamine is signaling feedback for predicted awards. Looking at your phone makes your brain automatically associate it with a dopamine high. And as the dopamine high decreases, you crave it all the more. And in a cue-reward mechanism, the levels rise once again once you turn on your phone. The drive theory of motivation describes a deviation from homeostasis. Homeostasis, an equilibrium within our internal conditions, is defined by our habits. The dopamines released by using our phones, as well as the habits formed whenever we engage in this behavior,